PlayStation, PlayStation, PlayStation. How much more anti-consumer can you truly get? Well, turns out PlayStation VR 1 games cannot run on the PSVR 2. God knows why. You'd think that they would make some sort of translation layer to accommodate the new headset and controls, but they want you to buy the games all over again, probably. Alright, let's get into it. So you heard that right, guys. PSVR 2 will not support the breadth of content that we have as part of PSVR 1, right? I mean, we thought everything would be backwards compatible because they're both VR headsets. Yes, the control systems and the way they track the controllers is slightly different to PSVR 1, but surely, adapting it to the new system wouldn't be that hard on Sony's part. It would just involve translating the old tracking input to the new one, but obviously Sony's like, no, we want there to be a limited amount of games. We want to encourage people to buy the new games for PSVR 2, rather than just piggyback off their old collection of first gen games. And it really just feels like an anti-consumer move to me, because people have already invested in a lot of the PSVR 1 content. I'd imagine upscaling that to work pretty well in the second gen PSVR 2 wouldn't have been that hard. If anything, maybe the developers would maybe just need to put out an update, but I feel like this is just an attempt at money grabbing, kind of like they did with the PS4 and PS5. Charging people more money to get it on the new system, just because it's new, right? And it's got a few bumped up graphic settings. I mean, PC games allow you to switch between graphic settings on the fly. Why do you have to pay for the privilege of playing stuff at a higher resolution? It sucks. It really does. PlayStation, what's going on? So here's the article from The Verge. PSVR games are not compatible with PSVR 2 because they aren't. The justification is that PSVR 2 is designed to deliver a truly next-generation experience, and also make us more money in the process. We finally have an answer about whether the PSVR 2 will be able to play games from the original PlayStation VR. No. As Twitter user Nibel spotted, the official PlayStation podcast asked Hideaki Nishino, a vice president of platform experience at Sony, whether the games from its last gen virtual reality headset would run on its new one. His response: well, people wouldn't buy as many of the new games if we allowed backwards compatibility. I mean, look at the PS5 and the PS4 not supporting PS3 games. People wouldn't have bought as many launch games as they did. That's the real reason, Sony. PSVR games are not compatible with PSVR 2 because PSVR 2 is designed to deliver a truly next-gen VR experience. Psst. Stupid. He continued, PSVR 2 has much more advanced features like all new controllers and haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. He also referenced the headset's inside-out and eye tracking as well as 3D audio. This means developing games for PSVR 2 requires a whole different approach than the original PSVR. These features actually enable developers to create worlds that feel more vivid and alive. I mean, they could have just handed it. I mean, if they really didn't want to invest resources in translating the tracking elements, the hand tracking, didn't want to create a little script that basically just converted, had it used the new tracking system instead of the old one. I mean, would that really have taken that much time? And they could even just let developers just update their games. Maybe that's what they will do. I don't know. I don't want to be too negative. He also referenced the headset's inside-out eye tracking as well as 3D audio. This means developing games for PSVR requires a wholly different approach than the original PSVR. To me, that all sounds like a great explanation for why PSVR 2 games won't be allowed on the original headset, but that's not what Nishino was trying to justify, to be fair. Porting games from the old system to the new one likely wouldn't be as simple as allowing PS4 games to run on PS5. True, but all they had to do is a little bit of legwork just to translate the tracking system to the new one. Some original PSVR games made heavy use of the PlayStation Move ones, which are nothing like PSVR 2's controllers. Developers could probably find a way around that, but it would take some work. There's also been some speculation that there would be even be even be technical hurdles to getting the old games to run on the new hardware, since the PSVR 2 uses an entirely different tracking technology. Now, I don't totally buy that. I mean, maybe for PSVR exclusive games, that could be the case. But the PlayStation VR 2 uses a lot of the same technology as the Oculus Quest, the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive? HTC, I forgot the name of the HTC one, but they all use, a lot of these new headsets use inside-out tracking, a lot like the PlayStation Move, and a lot of the games that were on PSVR 1 were also made for systems like the Oculus Quest that have that inside-out tracking. So maybe being able to, you know, you should be able to maybe just port over a version of the game that was made for the Quest and have it run fine on the PSVR 2. I mean, that seems like a reasonable thing to do, right? And just put out an update. But those aren't the yeah, players would definitely have appreciated Sony putting in the work to get solve the problems. Sony's currently announced a handful of games for its next-gen headset. And says there are more than 20 in development. There's Horizon Call of the Mountain. I saw a clip of that. That looks absolutely amazing. An original title in the same universe as Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. Cool. As well as VR versions of Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 4, and No Man's Sky. We're also getting Star Wars and The Walking Dead games as well. Well, that's not a bad start. It's easy to imagine some buyers wanting greater variety, especially if they're not interested in a few of those flagship titles. That's something that a catalogue of around 500 PSVR games could have provided. So basically, there's 500 PSVR games currently available right now. That is a massive back catalogue that could have really sustained PSVR 2. I mean, why are people going to want to spend? I mean, they're essentially going to be buying PSVR 2 just to play Horizon Call of the Mountain, right? I mean, a lot of these other games are available on other systems, other VR systems, if not available in 2D as it is. I mean, like I don't know if everyone feels like playing the same games over again just in VR. I mean, I don't think that will justify buying a PSVR. But there we go, guys. PSVR 2 doesn't support PSVR 1 games. And I'm a little bit bummed. Anyways, guys, I'm Blaze 2K. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer, but Sony, I'm just not a fan of these anti-consumer moves, man. See you in the next one. Have a good day. Goodbye. Bye.